Okay, and I think some of you today, this is the first time you've been to one of our webinars, and many of you you've been to other ones as well. Today is all about how to create an outstanding international job application. Without further ado, I'm going to start off, and others joining us will be able to obviously ask questions if as they go later on. So just to start off, then I want to introduce myself for those that haven't been to our webinars before or haven't been to one that I've been presenting at. My name is Abigail Stevens. I'm the founding and managing director of Think Global Recruitment. I have over 30 years recruitment experience helping accountants specifically to move all over the world. I do it because I'm passionate about that. I myself have visited over 53 countries, and I've lived and worked in England, Scotland, Australia, and New Zealand. I am passionate about giving others the opportunity to have that overseas experience. For what it did for me was so exciting. It gave me so much more confidence, both as an individual and in the workplace. And you meet so many people who become friends for life. It's a very exciting thing to be doing. Our webinars are about very much following our purpose, which is improving lives. For me, it's about making sure that everybody we interact with, we're always considering how we're going to improve your life. It's not just changing your life, it's improving it. And moving overseas is definitely a step in that direction. We want to make sure through our webinars that you're as prepared as possible for such a big leap, but such an exciting one. So that is why we do these, and we have a series. At the end, I'll be telling you a bit more about the ones that are up and coming after this one. You can also find our historic ones on our YouTube channel. And I can share those details with you. It will be shared in a follow-up email, the YouTube channel. Follow that and have a look through some of the others. There might be things in life when you're getting to do so and you think, oh, that's the recruitment process. Maybe Think Global Recruitment have done a webinar on it. We probably have, whether it's about locations, living and working in different places, to the skills of how to apply for an international move or how to make one and enjoy it. We also have some fantastic webinars where we've been joined by people that have moved overseas and made that move, telling you about what it was like and doing a Q&A session. We will have more of that later in this year as well. So yes, and during that time, during the 25 years Think Global Recruitment has been assisting accountants to move overseas, we've moved thousands of you to 63 different countries. Still some I need to visit, having only been to 53. Um, and we've helped people just move to just about every continent. I have been put up in that once. We have missed one, Iceland area. Okay, but we have most places we have put people into and assisted accountants to build some amazing careers. Um, just this week, I was contacted by somebody who was actually a client for us in the US for many years, for about 8 years, until the US sort of closed down some of its immigration boundaries. And he was telling me about how excited he was because people that we'd helped move to his organization still all that time ago are now at the top of the organization. Made it all the way from leaving as an audit senior from Ireland to becoming a financial accountant in the US and now the CEO of the whole of North America. Fascinating. Okay, so let's get on to our subject though today. We're going to be showing you how to make an outstanding international job application. So, okay, you're going to have a great CV. You're going to have a strong CV. It can clearly define your experience. It's going to highlight your qualification. It demonstrates your client exposure and technical skills. That's excellent. That's step one. And I will show you a bit more about the CV later on. But here's the reality of today's market. We've got to think about how we stand out above everybody else. For international audit roles right now, if you're thinking about UK, Ireland, Australia, Dubai, Caribbean, firms are receiving 3 to even 500 applications. Sometimes I'm hearing 1,000 applications per job. Why? Well, applying has never been easier. One click, people just send in one click, one click, one click, and they've done their application. Um, and they just take seconds. But imagine if you're the person reviewing those applications and they've got 1,000. They don't have long. They really don't have long to go through all those applications. So you've got to imagine how we're going to make you stand out. You might be a really strong CA, ACA, CPA with Big Four experience or a mid-tier background, great client exposure, solid performance. But there's four other applicants that are very similar to that. It's no longer about just being qualified. Most applicants are. It's about being selected. Recruiters are not even reading the 1,000 CVs carefully. They are just scanning and filtering and eliminating. Within seconds, they'll work out whether you're going to be applicable for this role or not. If you don't stand out immediately, you do not make it past the first cut, no matter how capable you are. So today is about this. How do you move from being one of many to being the obvious choice? Because when thousands of people apply, average disappears. Okay, well, first of all, let's talk about what a covering letter actually is. So before we get too tactile and let's just simplify it. A covering letter, it's not a repeat of your CV. It's not a life story, and it's definitely not just a copy and paste job. A covering letter is going to be a short, focused introduction that explains why you want the role, why you want the firm, and why they want you, and why the location. It connects the dots between the experience and the vacancy. Your CV shows what you've done, and your covering email explains why it actually matters. And something really important, you don't get a second chance at a first impression. Recruiters and hiring managers spend seconds, not minutes, deciding whether it's worth reading on. 7 seconds, generally, what they quote. And honestly, I think that's quite generous in a busy day when you've got 1,000 emails coming in. So if you're applying internationally, where firms may receive hundreds of applications, your covering letter can be the difference between another applicant, and let's look more closely at this one. Today, we're going to cover why a cover letter still matters, yes, even now, when it gives you a serious competitive advantage, a simple structure that you can follow, the most common mistakes I see, and I see a lot, and practical tips that you can implement right away. So let's get going on that info. Okay. Do you really need a cover letter? After what I've just said, I think you'd really recognize it. Definitely you do, especially applying internationally. So the firms are receiving hundreds of applications, the same qualifications, a similar client pleasure, similar job titles. Your CV proves you can do the job. Your cover letter proves that you want it, and the distinction is what matters. A strong cover letter will show genuine motivation for the specific country and firm. Explain your relocation plans very clearly. Addresses visa status upfront. It's going to highlight the most relevant parts of your experience, just the relevant ones. It's not a regurgitation of your CV. And it shows communication skills, which matter hugely in this market. It also reassures the hiring manager that international moves international moves do carry perceived risks. So we need to give them the assurance that you are the right person for this. Are you serious? Are you committed? Do you understand what you are applying for? A thoughtful cover letter answers those questions before they even ask them. So we're preempting what an interviewer might be asking. And a competitive market reassurance is very powerful. If 500 people apply and only 50 include a strong tailored cover letter, which pile do you think you're going to be in? Okay, exactly. So let's start with our research every single time. If you take one thing from today, let it be this: stop sending out the same cover letter everywhere. Sorry, I know it helps. I know it's easy just to hit quick apply, but it's really going to make a difference when you're up against it with all these other people. Tailoring your applications per every job is the way to go. International roles, competitive, mass applications are obvious, and hiring managers can spot them immediately. Before you write a single sentence, research the firm. What industries do they specialize in? Are they growing in a particular sector? Are they part of a global network? What's their culture like? Have they recently opened or expanded their office? The position, research the position. What level are they hiring at, truly? What technical skills are they emphasizing? Look at that job description. Is the role client facing? Is it team management important? Are they focused on financial services, insurance, commercial clients? What are they looking at? Now, then, ask yourself, what parts of my experience align directly with that? Because here's the truth, when a firm receives 500 plus applicants, they are not looking for generally capable. They are looking for specific and relevant. Tailored does not mean rewrite your life story each time. It means just adjusting. So that's the good news. The emphasis, the examples you highlight, the wording to match the job description, the motivation, and the specific location. So you can use a template and then just tailor it each time by the job and the company and the location. If you mention Bermuda in the paragraph and accidentally leave Australia in, though, you're done. So don't do that. Be very careful. I can emphasize that the most. Companies do not want to think you're applying randomly to lots and lots of different countries. They like to feel that you're focused in your approach. Small mistakes can signal lack of care. And when employers have options, they choose care. They really do. And when they have options, they will be fussy. And right now in the current market, we are seeing the fussiest employers out. And when I say fussy, everyone has a right to be fussy, but they're very specific in what they want and what they're looking for. And therefore, they can then, when they've got all that ticked, they're then looking for these best applications. A tailored application says, I want this role. A generic one says, I want any old role. And these are two very different messages, which I'm going to show you how to make more specific. So let's talk about the structure first, a simple structure. Okay, don't overcomplicate it. You just really don't need to be. A strong covering letter for an international role can follow a very clear structure in a 4-part structure. I will go through those 4 parts. Remember, AI is also looking at keywords. So don't get rejected by AI. We have 2 people looking at our applications now. Some companies are, thankfully, sending it directly to HR, or they're sending it directly to the line managers. Other organizations, unfortunately, are using AI to look through your applications. What we have got a word of warning for you right now is if you see you don't meet a job description, you don't have the right requirements for it, I would not be applying right now. Because if AI is answering those applications and you don't have the right experience, AI will reject you because it can't see the experience tallied up. And if AI has rejected you, then they sometimes have a rule in there that it rejects you for a whole year. So you can't reapply. Even if the criteria changes or your experience changes, you're going to be rejected for a whole year with AI. So this is about not only making it look right and have the right words in there for HR to pick it out or for the line manager to pick it out, it's for AI. But remember with HR also, they might not know the keywords. So always try and match keywords that they've got in their job description. Okay, so as I said, let's not overcomplicate it. Let's think about the opening. Be direct, state the role you're applying for, mention where you saw it, add 1 strong sentence about your current position and your current qualification. Keep it confident, keep it clear, and no waffle. So, for example, I am a CA South Africa, currently working as an audit senior in Deloitte Johannesburg. I'm applying for the audit manager role in Dublin. So nice and simple. I am going to show you some examples of this further down the presentation as well. We're going to keep it simple, professional, straight to the point. Okay, so we've got our opening, strong opening. Next, focus on why you want the role, not why you want to leave where you are. Think forward, always thinking positively and forward. Same with interviews. Okay, so why this role? Why the firm? And where most is where most candidates fail. They just don't get that across that they really want it. And motivation is all important. Motivation in the international market is even more important because an employer is investing quite expensively on visas, maybe relocation, and it's higher risk to move somebody from overseas that they're actually going to turn up and start. So we need to actually show that we've done our homework. I mentioned the research earlier on and making sure you do that before you go in. And making sure they understand that you actually want them specifically. Also, show you've done your homework. So not just I am looking for career growth, it's all about me. Everyone else is, honestly. Instead, show that you've done your homework. Mention something about the firm's market position, their industry focus, their international client base, maybe the growth in that area, things that you show you actually had a look and you genuinely are interested in this company and not just mass applying to everybody. Number 3, why you? You need to tell them why you. So relevant experience only. This is not your CV. So it's looking again at their job description, what they wanted, why are you relevant for that, and what they specifically wanted. Don't go over too much, just that. So 2 or 3 points. Go to them directly and match the job description. For example, financial services client exposure, group audits, IFRS, US GAAP experience, managing teams of whatever number of people you've managed, experience reviewing work and coaching juniors, make it relevant and make it aligned to what they've asked for. Think, if I were the hiring manager, what would I care about most? Put yourself in their shoes. Okay, so the fourth point is why the location and be specific. Why do you want that location? You can include personal reasons as well as professional ones. I repeat that. You can include personal reasons as well as professional ones. And I will tell you a little bit more about that later on. Hiring managers do not like ambiguity. If you answer their concerns upfront, you reduce the perceived risks. And that is it. Simple structure. We're not talking about a 3-page document. We're talking about keeping it concise. We're not being dramatic and we're not being emotional when we do this. We're being clear, relevant, and confident. Remember, the goal of your cover letter is not to tell your life story, it's to secure an interview. Um, okay, so next let's have a look at potentially the 5 biggest mistakes I see, which definitely would get their attention, but not in the right way. Here's where people go wrong. Okay, so 5 common mistakes, the biggest ever mistakes. After all these years of placing counsel internationally, I can tell you these. The most rejections are avoidable. Here are the 5 biggest mistakes. A generic cover email or letter. The copy and paste. Dear Sir, Madam, I'm writing to apply for your vacancy. If I could swap the company name in 10 seconds, let's send it there and just do that. It's too generic. Just even changing the company name is not enough. Firms feel that you're mass applying and enthusiasm cannot be faked. Okay. Next thing, repeating the CV. Your cover letter is not a CV in paragraph form. Do not list every audit engagement you've ever worked on or every client you've worked with. Select what is relevant to the role. Quality will beat quantity. Making it only about you. They don't want to just hear, I want international exposure. I want career progression. I want new challenges. That's fine. You could talk about that in more relative terms. But what does the firm get? Okay, shift the focus to what the firm's going to get. How does your experience benefit them? Ignoring why you're keen to make the move to that location is not a good thing. So, not giving reasons as well as professional ones. Managers need to be convinced that you will settle in. Being too long, also, your covering letter is more than 1 page, it's too long. Busy partners, directors are not reading essays. Aim for concise, focused, impactful. Remember, the goal is not to impress with volume, it's to secure the interview. You can finish with this. Yes, it's just if you avoid these mistakes, you will just make sure that you are in that percentage of applicants that get chosen. Okay, let me just show you an example. I've had to split it so that you could see it on the screen into 3 parts, but this is just one covering email. And I've started with a clear subject line. First line, straight to the point. Then the applicant is making sure and making it clear that she's relevant for the role, showing that she's currently in a relevant role. She then outlines why she wants to work for the company, why it appeals for her, and what is specifically about that firm, not just any Big Four firm. That's another mistake that we see sometimes is people just go, I want to work for a Big Four firm. Each firm or a medium tier firm or whatever it's going to be, each firm feels that they're different and they want to see that you've identified the differences in them in particular. I'll give you a second more just to read through maybe some of this example before I carry on. Okay, so continuing on, we're now talking about why the person fits their requirements. Oh, sorry, first of all, we're talking about why the location itself really being specific on that. And you can see that they've talked mostly about how it's going to help their career, and then a little bit at the end about why personally they would settle in. It's really important for the company to feel that you really want to make a move to that location. Motivations are the biggest thing I see people fail on an interview, but also on the applications. Okay. And then we can see why the person fits the requirement in more detail. They've gone and expanded on that. And on the end of this covering letter, email, etc., they're highlighting in bullet points why they fit, and they've related it to the job description again. The job description said they needed someone that's qualified with at least 5 years experience. They wanted them to be working in a big four firm and have insurance clients, and they needed IFRS and PCOB. They've highlighted that, and they've made it quite easy for the reviewer to see. So think back to us saying who's reviewing these CVs. It's a combination of maybe AI, it's a combination of HR, and it could be a line manager. And they want to see in your covering email very quickly, should I read on? Is it worth looking at their CV? Okay. And a strong close is always very important as well. Let's just have a look at the CV itself. Very briefly going to highlight it because actually a CV is a whole other webinar, and you can watch historic how to make a banging CV videos on our YouTube channel, or you can sign up for one later in the year when we come back around to doing this again because it's a very popular one, as you would imagine. But first thing I want to do is actually say I'm going to be honest with you. Most recruiters don't read your CV first; they skim it and they decide very quickly whether it's worth a deeper look. So here's what we would scan for. Your headline, current job title, qualification, is it relevant? Do you have ACA, CA, whatever's required? What sectors have you worked with? What accounting standards do you have? The firms you've worked for, clear progression on your CV. Some people just say that they've been at their current job title for the whole period they've been there. If you've actually been promoted during your time with the company, put that on, show that for this time period you were at this level, then you went to that level, and then you went to that level, and show the time periods. It's really good to show your career progression. Then the other thing's gaps on CVs. If you can fill them in, it really helps. People always scan for gaps on CVs. And it might be simply you were traveling. So put that in the chronological order. During these dates, traveling, like you would put the job title. I was traveling during that time. I was studying, or whatever it is that you were doing during that time. So you've covered that off. We would scan for that and look for that. And we're looking for people that haven't hopped around too much in their jobs. So again, if you've left jobs and you've been in a job for less than 2 years, maybe put the reason for leaving on that job so that it's really apparent to the reader very quickly that you're not a job hopper. You had to leave because X, Y, or Z, or you want to leave because X, Y, and Z, and the benefits that's brought. Okay, so we're asking ourselves, is the person qualified? Are they working at the right level? Is the experience relevant? Do they have any gaps in their CVs? Are they progressing? Formatting really matters. So a clean layout, clear structure, logical flow. Professional formatting immediately signifies credibility. So the way your CV looks is very important. There are a lot of templates available. Like if you're using Microsoft, you can just ask for a template and choose one though that you would look at it, put yourself backwards and go, if I was looking at this from afar, can I immediately see everything that this person's done very quickly and very easily? Don't use fussy formats. Messy formatting signals that you're not credible. Okay, here's the uncomfortable truth. If we have to work hard to understand your profile, we move on. If we get a CV and we're having to scan it and go, do they have the experience? They have experience. Actually, I've got another 50 to look at. I'm moving on. It's the way of the world. So make it obvious. It's not because you're not capable, but because the other 200 CVs are waiting. The first third of your CV is utterly crucial because remember that's the top and I've got to want to read on. If the top section doesn't immediately make sense, then you might not get to show the rest. So the ideal CV structure is going to, for an international accounting roles in particular, the structure that works. Okay, so you follow this, it's easy to read and it will be exactly what they want to see. So professional heading, your full name in your heading, get your name, your qualification, current job title, and maybe your sector experience if it's relevant. You should also have in there obviously contact details and a professional email address. Don't go putting on a strange if you've got a funny email address, please get a new one for applying for jobs. And if you've got a strong LinkedIn profile, which you should have if you're applying for jobs, because everyone will look at you on LinkedIn, then apply that. We do a session on how to create a strong LinkedIn profile as well. So that's another one that we can put into our webinars that will be coming up this year. Keep it clean, no unnecessary details on your CV. Keep it professional. Have a professional summary next. So 5 or 6 lines, bullet pointing. It's your positioning statement. And in a few lines, you can clarify your qualification, years experience, the current level, your core specialism, the industries you focus on, your international exposure, your accounting standards, say. This section should immediately answer, where does this candidate fit? Third section, education. So your professional qualification must be in there. If you had first time passes, highlight that. If you got placed during your exams, highlight that. Boast a little bit. We need to boast on our CV. We have to sell ourselves. It's a sales document. And I know not everybody feels comfortable selling themselves, but in your interview process, you have no choice. If you don't, other people are going to pip you to the point. Okay. Do include your degree and any relevant certifications that you've got. But you don't need to list everything down to your school prizes. But they do want to know your generally your education, and definitely want to know your degree and your professional qualification. If you did really well at school, I'd be putting on there, 5 A levels passed at A grade. Key experience and employment history. Okay, so list roles in reverse chronological order. So the most recent first, and then go backwards. For each role, make sure you've got the firm name, the location, the job title, the dates that you were there, and then have some bullet points that focus on what you did there. So again, the client sectors, the reporting standards you're working with, the size and complexity of the engagements, team leadership, review responsibilities, etc. If you're in tax, you might want to put whether it's corporate and private tax. If you're in advisory, what percentage you've done advisory versus compliance, the type of clients you've worked with, the technical areas, etc. So we're going in there and we're putting in the detail. Corporate finance, if you're in corporate finance, the deal sizes you've worked with. In fact, a deal sheet is very, very practical to have a separate document if you're in corporate finance. Your due diligence, financial modeling, valuations, experience, etc. So make it relevant to the role that you're applying for and your experience that you've got. Next, your leadership and progression. So the firms that you've worked for, the international firms that are applying really do care about your career trajectory. So highlight your promotions, as I've mentioned, increased responsibilities, team management, client focusing exposure, your soft skills as well as your practical skills and your technical skills. Progression tells us a story of performance. You only get promoted if you're doing well. Technical and system skills are useful to have them in there. So, particularly important if you're doing IT audit, data analytics, corporate finance, etc. You can mention the tools that you've used, the systems you've used. In this day and age, put in there if you're proficient with using AI in the workplace, how good you are at using your Excel pivot tables, but also if you're good at data analytics, producing shortcuts and saving time, all of those things can go in there. Your CV should make relocation easy to understand. So please also have in there your nationality and your visa status and any passports you hold, but your willingness to relocate would be good in there. Remove the friction, remove the doubt for the reader. They want to know that if they select you out of everybody that you're relevant. The goal is being clarity, using clarity, because when a manager's hiring, they understand from your profile within under 30 seconds, they need to know that, yes, your profile is worth taking forward. Here's some don'ts. If you want to stand out in the international market, then clarity beats clutter. So I would remove these things. Too long are personal profiles, full of fluff. I'm highly motivated, dynamic, results-driven individual. Everyone is actually, and they all say the same thing. If it doesn't say anything specific about your qualification level or specialism, then delete it. Replace fluff with facts. Paragraphs instead of paragraphs, and use bullet points rather than paragraphs so that people can read it quickly. Dense blocks of text are exhausting in this day and age when we all use social media, and 120 characters is plenty. Don't go on rambling in big paragraphs. Recruiters scan bullet points and it helps them absorb the information way more quickly. If your CV looks like a novel, then it will be treated like one. Closed. Okay. Irrelevant, detailed early experience. So if you're an audit senior manager now or a senior manager in your field, you don't need to go into detail about the retail job you did at university. You do want to include everything you have done since university on your CV, but please, for the really historic jobs, just keep them brief with a maybe a time period. Don't need as much for that if it's not as relevant. Responsibilities without impact is a big no-no. So responsible for auditing, testing, prepared working papers, assisted senior team members. That's quite short and a bit too sweet. Instead, show the scale of it, the complexity of it, the standards used, the level of responsibility, the team sizes you've worked with or managed, and the review exposure. Context is everything. Okay. And excessive length. If you've got under 10 years experience, your CV should usually be 2, 3 pages. You do not want to ramble on into 5, 6, 7 pages. Too short is also a thing. 1 page is not enough. A lot of people keep trying to condense into 1 page, which has been seen the American way, but you just won't have enough information on there. You're leaving the recruiter guessing what you've done. A job title doesn't explain what you've done. Vague relocation statements as well, open to opportunities worldwide. They don't really feel committal. It's like worldwide, really? Well, I want them to want us. So if you're applying for Dubai, say Dubai. Specific feels intentional. Your CV is not a biography, it's a marketing document, and a good marketing document is clear, relevant, and focused. Quick note on mistakes. Please don't send them out with grammar or spelling mistakes. I myself are pretty bad at spelling. I am slightly dyslexic. I use this tool called Grammarly. It's fantastic. It picks up things. It's free. You just put it onto your system and it will check all of your documents. If you're not already using it, please take a look at it. You can even put it on your phone. You can have it on every app that you've got. And it helps you out. But proofread everything. Don't send out with mistakes. Timing wise, you might be wondering why in February we're talking about this if you're only going to be looking for something in the future. Remember, you want to get your document ready now, nice and early, so it's ready to go when there's lots of opportunities out there. You want your document when you're ready to go as well. Visas take anything from 4 to 12 weeks to come through. These days, probably about 8 to 12. So make sure that your document's ready and you're ready to go in advance of when you want to actually start a job. Okay, I mentioned some up and coming webinars. We've got a visa Q&A session coming up. People have told us on feedback that they'd love to know more about visas. We're going to do offshore island focus as well. We're going to do living and working around the world. We're going to do making your LinkedIn profile stand out as well. Now we've got time for Q&As. So does anybody have any questions? I can see the Q&A section has one in here at the moment and a few more. Oh, yeah, more coming through. Great. Please add your Q&As. Any questions you've got about today's topic. So is it possible to share a sample CV and a cover letter? Absolutely. If you would like to write to us at mail@thinkgr.com, then we will and just say, can I get a sample CV, please? We will send it out to you, and you can have that to use as a template. You can also look at our CV, how to make a CV and produce a CV video on YouTube, and we've got copies in there and samples in there. And when we bring this up as another webinar, we will be able to answer that for you as well. Okay. Excellent. Okay. To be able to clear the AI test, another question somebody had is, how do people look out for the AI? One of the most obvious things with AI when you're using AI to create CVs and covering emails is the dashes, the long dashes they put in. Make sure you don't have long dashes, that commas are in the right place. Use Grammarly over it and it will get rid of those for you and it will help it, flow better. Also make sure it sounds like you. You always use AI as a good way to help you draft something. Do a bit of research, but always make sure you've checked it, you've verified it, but also it sounds like you and it doesn't sound like a robot. One of the ways to do that, if you're using something like ChatGPT, is actually to go into the section of ChatGPT about yourself and tell it how you normally write and your mannerisms and how you want to come across, and it will replicate you. Um, Keywords using to overcome AAY. So it's the keywords to overcome AAY is the words that they've asked for. So if the job description says that you need to have IFRS, make sure IFRS is in there in your cover so that they can see clearly you have IFRS. If the job description says that you need, I don't know, insurance experience, or maybe it's investment banking experience, or maybe it's experience working with manufacturing companies or retail, make sure that's on there because AI will be looking for the keywords that it's asked for. So that's how they would have program the AI to say, right, this is what we need. Can you match this job spec with the CV coming in? That's why we say tailor every application. Please don't just go out there with generics. Okay, I've got time for one or two more questions if anybody does want to give us one. Here we go. Why are firms not getting to me? I've sent my CV to 20 firms and nothing. Did you tailor them? I don't know how you sent them. Part of it might be that you're being rejected and they're just not coming back to people they're rejecting because they're getting 1,000 applicants. I don't agree with that. Think Global Recruitment get back to everybody that applies. We might take a little bit of time to get back. It might take a couple of weeks because of the sheer amount of applications we're seeing coming in. But we will get back to you and let you know, even if it's a reject, that you've been rejected. I can only apologize on behalf of our counterparts in house that they don't always get back. If you come for a recruitment company, though, if you use services, Think Global Recruitment, for example, we make a point. We work with companies that do get back to us. We don't like working with the ones that don't. So we have a policy with them where they explain to us, yes, no. We follow up as well. We pick up the phone. We talk to them. We're hounding for you. So it's better to go through a recruitment agency where you can, and particularly at the moment where AI is marking things, because there is actually some hidden rules that they haven't put on the job specs. And we know them, so we would say, no, don't apply for that job yet because they're looking for this. If we wait a few months, they might open up, but don't go for it now because you'll get rejected and it can be for 12 months. Okay. I've been in the UK now for over a year. Recruiters tell me that I have good experience, but I'm struggling to get interviews. Okay. If you don't have at the moment indefinite leave to remain in the UK, it's pretty hard to change jobs. There's not many companies out there that are sponsoring for jobs. And the ones that are telling us they want to see at least 18 months on a CV. We've got a couple of jobs at the moment where they've said the person must be within 12 months of getting indefinite leave to remain. It's just the current market. The market's been tough for the last 12 months plus. It will change, but right now it's like that. Keep the job you've got if you can, because it's better not to have gaps on your CV, and also it's going to be difficult leaving to try and get sponsorship. Okay, yeah, so that probably goes into a little bit. Someone's just asked me what the job market is like at this moment in time. It's tough, but it's got better. So in January, the industry's seen a 13% increase in jobs to what we were seeing last year. Last year, the market was being affected, and it still is in some ways, but some companies are just saying, okay, we've got to move on. We can't wait forever for this to change. But there's a lot of political uncertainty and instability in the world. Lots of major powers have changed. There's tariffs from the US has affected most countries around the globe. Businesses seeing, where that's going to take them, how much money they're going to have in there, they're going to still be out trading. And threat of war has not been great. And then finally, AI. People have been waiting to see what jobs can AI take, how many people should we recruit, and that has been making the job market tough, and competition tough because everyone's just applying. But we're feeling that people are moving on now, and also they are getting over the AI side of things. Let's hope that continues. Can I use ChatGPT to write my CV? I think I mentioned earlier on, so or other AI. You can, but I would then go back over it, check it, change it, make it you again. But the ChatGPT is very good at giving you key focuses. What I would actually probably do is draft my own CV, send it to ChatGPT and say, can you see anywhere place I can make an improvement? Is the better way round to do that. Okay. We have come to the end of the book session, but if you want to leave, please do. But if you don't, that if you want to stay on, I will answer the last couple of questions that I've got here. So somebody wants to move to Australia from their current country of residence. If they get a visa on their own without requiring a company sponsor them for the visa, does it become easier? Yes, yeah, it absolutely does. Australia is probably one of the ones that you can, get your own visa. Same for getting permanent residence in Canada, etc. It makes all the difference if you've got that visa. The thing is, though, when you get your own visa, it can take over a year to obtain it. If you want to move sooner and you want to be sponsored, then that's the way to go. If you're in the UK and Ireland and certain other countries, you can get working holiday visa for Australia. If you get that, then sometimes some of the employers will say, "Well, come and join us for the first few months on that, and after 3 months, if it's all looking great, let's go down the sponsorship route," because the sponsorship visas are very, very expensive for Australia in particular. Um, but it all depends on your backgrounds on how you're going to secure these roles. Best time to apply for jobs in the UK. At the moment, it's busy season in many locations. So that would be the UK, Europe, offshore islands. It's busy season. So right now, applying is quite difficult because they don't have time to look at applicants, they don't have time to interview people, and they don't have time to be onboarding people. So typically, it's going to pick up again May, June time as that fizzles out and they're moving out of the busy time and they're thinking ahead and they've just come out of a horrendous busy season because they're understaffed and they need more people. So then they start recruiting for the next start dates. As I mentioned, though, if you need a visa, we're waiting to see how that's going to advance. Part of the problem with the visa in the UK is the government are making it harder to get them and they're making it more expensive. So that's not being as appealing to employers. Okay, let's everybody, thank you for joining us and thank you for all your questions because they're really, really poignant and I'm pleased that you asked them because then we can give the feedback to you and give you as much information we can to help prepare you. If you've not registered with us yet, please do send your CV either to myself or to mail@thinkgr.com and we will get back to you as promised. If we get back to you, we might be saying, look, we haven't got anything right now, but we'd like to keep your CV on file. We will get back to you in the future. It's because the market where it is, and we feel that you are relevant, you do have good experience. We wouldn't be doing that otherwise, and that in the future we'll be able to help you. So thank you very much, and it's been great having you all here. Goodbye.